to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Well, welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show live stream, everybody. My name is Tom Dutta. I am the host, and you're live streaming today, live streaming across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And this is an exciting interview. I have a special guest. You can see him there in his home office. Actually, I'll introduce him in a moment. This interview will be produced and released across the international podcast, The Quiet Warrior Show. It will also be released as a YouTube video in the future. And so this is all about our guest. So I'd like to turn it to him and introduce to you Mr. Nawal Tandon. Nawal, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to be on the Quiet Warrior Show, and I'm very impressed with your story, and you are the real great warrior. And thinking back to, 34 years when I started my career, I never thought of I will be on the show one day. And it's a great to be with you, and you are a great person.
Well, thank you very much, Nawal. You're a very humble man, and I love that about you. That's why I wanted to interview you. I bring people on who are successful, but they also are humble, and they talk about their challenges that lead to success. And so why don't we start with something fun, Nawal, and how did you find me and connect to me? I just remember that day where the phone rang.
Yeah. I always, follow the people who are great and doing great things. It's quite noticeable. And I'm very active on social media like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. And one day I was just browsing on the LinkedIn and I found you. And I just, it attracted me, towards to see who you are. And it's great to know, and I read your story, and I was impressed, and it's very inspirational. So then I thought I must connect with this guy because I'm a great learner. I found great leaders from where I can learn something so that I can impart, I can share that excellence to my connections. So that's my way of working. So that's the way, I found you and connected with you.
Oh, thank you, Nawal. Yes, it was. And I'll talk about that in a moment. I think in the movie Gandhi, I remember the line, "We learn from each other." And so this is learning both ways. I have your bio here. I want to build you up so that people know the greatness behind you. But before I do that, I want to ask you a question. What's one thing that is unique about you that you think most people don't know about?
In fact, that's a very good question, and it's a difficult question to answer. But the thing is that most of the people, they are just busy with their work, they are earning their own livelihood. When I was, my childhood is very brilliant. I would say I'm lucky enough to have great parents and great uncles. They taught me about why we have come on this earth, what's the purpose of life, what we should do. It's just doing your job, earning your livelihood. That's not the life. So we should make some difference in the community. How can we contribute? What is the success? Success is just achieving something, or the usefulness. So they stress on the usefulness, if I do this thing, how useful is to the community? How will it make difference to others? So that's the unique point I picked up from my family. So those are the strong cultural values I picked up from my parents. I think it's unique, and one should think on those terms.
Well, thank you. Yes, I want to share more about you, Nawal. Then we'll get into the conversation about your story. Everybody, Nawal was born in Jalandhar city, India, in 1964. Just so you know, I can call you brother. I was born in 1964 myself.
Wow.
In a culturally rich family. Now, we'll talk about that, Nawal, in a moment too, because you and I talked offline about what that means. Your dad was an accountant. Your mom was a homemaker. 3 brothers, and I think some are still in India. Your career started in pharmaceuticals. Nawal went from 1986 to 2006 working for SmithKline, Beecham, and the Serum Institute of India pharmaceuticals sales career. And then the big step of migrating to Canada in 2006. And for those who are watching here from Canada, Bell Canada is our largest telecommunication company. Nawal spent some time there. And in 2007, moved to beautiful Surrey, British Columbia, which is a stone's throw over the bridge from where I live. And the biggest part of what I found out about you was something called the Drishti Media Group. You started that. Today, you're the general manager, and we're going to get into that in a big way. I want to say the last thing that I admire about what I found out about you, Nawal, is you said, "I believe in karma, and that is my religion." I've never heard it put that way, but it's a beautiful phrase. I think you obviously coined it. I might steal it, but I love the idea of living through that. So let's get into the backstory. This is about, you started, take me back to India. You were born in India in 1964. Just tell me a bit about your upbringing and what defined you, and then why did you come here?
Yeah. So again, I go back, 34 years when I started my career. And before that, my childhood was in Jalandhar. And my parents, it's a very, very simple life. They were leading a very simple life. My father was an accountant, but on the top of that, he was an artist. He was a flute player. And my childhood is, among the artists, all creative, classical, Indian classical music. There's a big program in Jalandhar, Har Vallabh Sangeet Sammelan. So when I was, even 6 years old, we used to attend those and meeting the big artists there and develop the Indian classical music, taste. And since then, whenever that, because most of the artists, they used to come to our place to do rehearsals with my father. So we used to sit with them and listen to them, and we developed the Indian classical music taste there. So in that way, my childhood, I'm very lucky to, my childhood was so good, and it gave me so much inspiration about the artists or art and culture, and that's the way we grow up, and then and the strong point in our family, it was to culturally rich family, how to make difference in others' life. We must give back something to the community, not for ourselves, but for others. So that was a very, very strong values, ethics of our family. So those, those values, they brought me, forward in my career. So I implemented that in India when I was with pharmaceutical companies. Mm-hmm. So helping people, whenever they need any help in the hospitals, anywhere. So I was I enjoyed that. That was my passion, to help others.
I see. I want to get you to just take a breath for a minute, and I'm honored, and I want to just say I'm proud of you for sharing that. My grandparents were from India. My parents were born in the Fiji Islands, and I was born in England on the way to Canada. So I have a story. People ask me, Nawal, about my background. I say I'm all messed up. I was born in the UK and I'm Canadian, but we all have this heritage. And I didn't know a lot about my heritage. That's why meeting people like you and learning and being involved in the community, I actually learn about a part of the world I never saw. And one of the things that you said, it was about values. And I just want to repeat that for the audience, that what your father did, it's interesting. I didn't know that about you, but our fathers in some way, and our mothers, define who we are. And you and I were talking offline, Nawal, if you don't mind, I can repeat this, that I do a lot of work in coaching and leadership and the brain science. I've studied it for 10 years, just trying to understand who I am. And at an early age, we come into the world golden with no memories and thoughts. And a lot of what's put in us is not true. What I mean by that, it's a kernel of truth. It's surrounded by interpretation. So somebody might say you're smart. Somebody might say you're not smart. And so up till about age 20, we don't have the use of our rational brain. So we wire in these neural nets, these patterns, and we actually believe things we're told. later in life we get the use of our rational brain, we can start interpreting that. I think one of the things I love about your story so far is your father was an artist, and the fact that I see that you had people coming over to your house and you're involved in that creativity. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate for mental health, and we might get into that. And they say one of the hack skills for mental health is music.
Music, yes. My father used to say, like, whenever he used to come back from his work, so he used to play for 1 hour a flute. So he used to play on the flute, and that he used to say, like, this is my diet, and this connects him directly to God. So that was his connection to God. So
I see.
He used to tell us.
Wonderful. And then I know a little bit about the journey to coming to Canada. You said something to me which was inspiring, at the same time thought-provoking. Was your dad didn't want you to come to Canada, or there's this big decision you made, and then also something about becoming a doctor. Just tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So, in Indian, if you say the Indian parents, your parents are, or grandparents are Indians, the Indian parents has one ambition, like about their kids. They wanted to decide, the future, like you should become a doctor, you should become a chartered accountant, or you should become an engineer. Those days, there was no questioning in front of parents, we were not, that prepared to question our parents. So, but once you fail in that, then your parents are a little bit annoyed. And that is exactly happened with me. So my father wanted me to a doctor. So, but I could not do that. But it was in my mind, like, my father is not feeling good. I should do something to make him happy. If I'm not a doctor, I should do something that will make him proud. So I decided, I found my ways, like how to go about it. So I told my father one day, like, I want to start my career in the pharmaceutical industry, because I will deal with the doctors and the health professionals, but I want to work in a multinational company. So he said, okay, that's good. So he was happy. I tried, many interviews, but, that was I was failed in many interviews when I appeared first. So even I remember my first interview, I went to the interview, and there was a group discussion on the interview. And I could not speak even a word there of English in that interview. And the interviewer called me for my personal interview. He said, why didn't you speak? I said, I don't know. I don't have the courage to speak, But he told me, like, Nawal, you have potential. He gave me some tips to practice. He said, see the next interview, you will be successful. So he gives me, that confidence. So I tried that. And when my second interview was there, I was quite successful. But not that much, but I was better. But yes. I tried those things, and ultimately I fulfilled my target, to get into a multinational company by achieving, in the group discussions or in the personal interviews. So then I told my father, like, I have achieved my goal. He said, you have achieved your goal, but this is not the ultimate success. The ultimate success is how useful you are for the community.
Yes.
Now your actual journey starts now. You have to, make difference in others people's life, not in your own life. So that is exactly, the starting point of my journey.
Oh, that's wonderful. I just want to jump in and add a few things that I read about you. Your father had a lot of wisdom, and I'll talk more about the other part of that. On your bio, it says community involvement, BC Children's Hospital Foundation, Langley Memorial Hospital Foundation, Liver Foundation, Canadian Cancer Society, Canadian Indian Network Society, Parminder Chauhan Foundation, the Diwali Gala, SFU. I mean, it goes on and on, but you live the values of being involved in your community. And you and I, before we got on the live stream, we used the word purpose, and that's really what defines the work I do. It's so proud of you for for bringing that value. Here's the thing I want to say to you, and you and I are so connected on this. It's true. Everybody, Nawal called me one day and he sent me a LinkedIn message. He says, I've been following you. And I went, what? how do you know about you? I've heard of the Drishti Awards. I've heard of all the Drishti organization. Very, very good. And I was humbled. And a lot of people think because I have the profile I do with the work I do, I'm overconfident or maybe. But the truth is, getting a call from anybody saying, I like what you're doing is humbling, because I'm like you that way. I'm very humble. I want to talk about what happened though on that call. Is you said we'd like to profile you in our magazine. Yeah. And so we collaborated, and maybe you can just make that announcement, because I think it's today that comes out. Yeah. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah. Today is the July-August issue will be out within a couple of hours, and we are privileged to have you in that issue, especially because I requested you to be in that issue. That's why we interviewed you to come to that issue, and why I chose you to be in this issue, because I read about you and I was inspired with your story, the purpose of life, the way you are working, despite working into so many companies, corporates in the US, and I have read your total bio, and you are really making difference in the people's life. And actually the purpose of life, what you have explained, I think we have all covered in the story, and I would recommend to our readers to go through it. And once the copies are out, so we will start distribution today, and it will reach to people's hand within a couple of days. And I think Tom's story is really so inspiring, and it's making a huge difference in the people's life. What I will say, and I will describe whatever your show is. You are exactly the same, the quiet warrior, and you are changing people's life in the way like what the traditional ways are. I think actually our generation is now asking questions to each and everything. It's not just the belief we are taking forward, but we are questioning, and that's a way of life.
Oh, thank you. It is an honor to be profiled in your magazine. We'll also let you talk about the magazine too. I can read the title of the article. Is that okay if I read that?
Yeah.
I have the article here, and it's titled "The Monsters Within Us Define Our Success and Happiness." And I have a quote by my picture. It says, "Life is not about material things or making our parents happy. Life is about knowing who we really are, finding our true passion, developing character." And why I feel that you and I are connected almost as brothers in some way is that thread in your story you told me, it gets me very emotional, happy but emotional at the same time. So I want to just talk about that we were all raised, and we love our parents. We honor our parents. What I'm trying to do in my work, and the world's trying to do, is get children to believe they are enough, believe that they are successful, who they are, that they're not there to make their parents happy. They're there to develop and grow, and their parents will be happy if they spread their wings like butterflies and become the best self. Yeah. Unfortunately, when I grew up, there were some limiting beliefs that were put in me by people around me of influence. I love my parents. I honor them. My dad passed away recently. But some of them, they didn't know, because they didn't know the way they were parented. They didn't understand the impact. So let me explain that for a moment. That when we come into the world, they're full of no memories or thoughts. And in the first 10 to 20 years, we only have the use of a part of the brain that stores information. And the rational brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex, it sits above the other part of the brain. We don't receive the use of that until maybe our mid-teens or up to 20 years old. It matures, which means that I can say to you when you're a young person, I can say, you're a handsome man, you're smart, or I can say you're dumb, or I can say you'll never be anything because you're not going to be a doctor, or I could say, you know what, son, we love you no matter what you do. unfortunately, that goes in us. And I meet a lot of South Asian young people and even adults who I coach, and they have this, I call it the hard drive, a virus on the hard drive, where it plays over and over. No matter how successful they are, how much life is good, they have this hole in the soul a bit. They don't understand why. And this happened to me. There were big expectations of me. And I remember in my early growing, my dad wanted me to be a dentist. Then it was a lawyer. Then it was a doctor. My older brother was become a doctor. Unfortunately, those things didn't happen. And I went through life. I went through life with mentors and feeling that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't achieving. And the only time I remember I got the connection or love from my dad was when I did things in school. I got all straight A's or high honors. And so I went through life overachieving, thinking that that's what I have to do to be successful and be good. It was only through my own self-development that I learned, and coaching others, Nawal, that I learned that that's not really true. Your dad loved you. I wish I had met him. Just because he wants you to be a doctor and you don't, that doesn't mean you're not successful. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what you do. In fact, my father was an electrician. My uncle was a plumber. My dad became a teacher at British Columbia Institute of Technology. But he wanted the best for us based on what he was taught. The next generation, I'm speaking for them, and many of them have told me, we want to live our lives. We want to be happy. We want to make our own choices. And what I say is this, and I'll give it back to you to comment, that I say, if you want to come to this country, check your ego at the door. Don't sell out your old traditional values, but teach your children to be who they are in this country so that they can be successful. Tell your children you love them no matter what education they have, no matter what job they have. And you'll be so proud of them, because what will come out of them is things you won't see if you put them in these limitations. And the last thing you said, which was amazing to me, is about the interview. I want to honor you for saying you failed, because that to me is what's called vulnerability in leadership. It's a skill. And I'm very proud of that. But when we're vulnerable in leadership, a lot of leaders in North America think it's shameful to say I failed or I'm weak. The truth is, it actually makes you real. Part of me said, wow, he said he failed. And you know what? Now I can say I failed. The truth is that we learn from those stories of adversity, of failure. And when you went to the interview and you mentioned about the failure, what I really liked is how you went away and you came back, you didn't give up. And you were given some advice to do something. And that, to me, the person who gave you that advice, I call a mentor. So what happened to me in North America is my parents split up when I was 12. My dad was a bad drinker. He was in the army and he was a wonderful man, but he became a demon because of that. And there are some of that in our community as well. And I had to go out into life, Nawal, and find mentors. And most of my mentors were people in high business in North America. They weren't traditional Indians. And so one of the gifts I learned from my father was always outwork people in the room. Never put your hand out and expect anything, and treat all people as you want to be treated yourself. And then came these other mentors, and perhaps at that time, I wish you were in my life, who taught me how to be successful in my heart without having to satisfy my parents. And it changed my life. And that's why I climbed the ladder. I became a manager at 21 and a CEO later at 31. People say to me sometimes from the community, how did you get into the boardrooms or into those jobs? Particularly, I did it in a North American culture, not in an Indian company. Right. And I said, because I don't know any better. It's like if you're in pick a country like Ethiopia. I have a friend, Daniel Agali, who's a pro wrestler, and he comes from Nigeria. He won a gold medal in wrestling for Canada. And I hope you meet him, or maybe you have. And I asked him one day on my show, I said, Daniel, where did you learn your passion of wrestling? He said, well, I was in the mud pits in Nigeria wrestling children. And he said, we looked up at the sky and we saw an airplane. And we didn't know what that was. He said, I didn't even know what an airplane was. And he said, we only knew that it was going to the Olympics. And he said, I didn't know what the Olympics are, but I wanted to do that. Here's the thing. If you don't know what an airplane is, then it doesn't matter. So when I came to this country, I didn't know what the culture was. And because I didn't have my traditional beliefs put in me in the ways most South Asian children do, I just flourished and grew in a different way. So today that is what I teach. And so back to your story, and then we'll give it back to you now to comment on some of this. I am so inspired by you, Nawal, because you're one of the few leaders in the South Asian community I've met. And there are so many great leaders who actually talk this way, who say, this is my story, and this is what we're trying to do to shape the community and the culture for the future. I'll give it back to you to comment.
Yeah, I think it's all, about who surround you. I think I'm surrounded by, very positive people, and I will call mentors. And I told you earlier also, I'm a great learner. I always learn. I learn from my kids even. Those are also sometimes your kids taught you, they teach you certain things which you don't know. I call them as mentors too, because we are definitely, we are parents. We try to teach our things, but sometimes you should gain something from them too, to perform better. Because they are talking, they don't have anything negative in their minds, so they are very clear hearted. The kids especially here, they're very clear hearted, and you should learn from them. So what I mean to say, like, I'm surrounded with so many positive, inspired people, and I have connected with you, so I'm learning from you too. And I can name few which I call them as my mentors. Is one of my Dr. Arun Garg. He's well respected in the community. Dr. Nick Ganthia, he's a professor in UBC. And he's a great mentor. And Sukesh Kumar, he's with KPMG partner. And then we have Balraj Man Group and Parminder Chauhan. And then there's so many organizations I have been associated with, like BC Children's Hospital Foundation, Langley Memorial Hospital Foundation. So those are the, when you meet those people, the CEOs and presidents, you learn from them, and you implement those things in your life, and that's making difference in other people's life. So it's all, sharing, caring, and sharing the excellence among others. And I think that's the way of life I think one should have, and the caring about others and helping others and sharing the excellence.
Absolutely. That's well said. I read somewhere too, you said, I believe in karma and that is my religion. Can you talk about that?
The karma mean, like, actually sometimes we think like the religion. What is the religion? I'm born in Hindu religion, I'm born in Sikh religion. All religions, they teach you the same things, like do your best karma, because those are the things in our hand, like what we can do, how differently we can do, because the God has provided us brain to think, and you have to think like, how can I do the things better and better, and that is making a difference, and the positive difference to creating a healthy civil society. So the karma is in our hands, but the results are not in our hand. So we should do whatever the best we can do, and the rest we should leave in the hands of God. And what I have observed and experienced is, once you think from inside positively, better things come outside.
Yes.
I think that's a very, very strong thing. If you see within yourself what you are and what you think, I think your own thinking makes you a better person. No other person can make you better. You have to find yourself from within. That's the very important thing.
I love that. And you nailed that. I mean, that is so good. In fact, everybody go back to the show and just listen to that. It's a teaching moment for that wisdom from Nawal. Nawal, I always say that as we grow in life, everybody develops a cement crust on their body, and it covers up really who we are. Many children, and including me, don't know who we are. Even later in life, some of us become, ex professions in our business, and really we never stop to discover what do we want to do, what's our passion. And I learned a long time ago, Nawal, that for mental health especially, that if you have passion and you bring that into your life and your career, you can be happier. And agree with what you said, that if we are positive, because the brain can't have a negative and positive thought at the same time. That's brain science. If you can inspire people with a positive thought, and mental health is a big one. We're in a negative reality in the world. And so the more we can do surrounding ourselves by people like you, teaching our children to be happy, regardless of what the expectations are, those people are extremely good to be around. I want to ask you now to tell us about the Drishti Media Group. I love the sound of the name Drishti. It just flows. You started it in 2015. There's lots to it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we started, in fact, Drishti Media Group in 2010. This is our 10th anniversary this year.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Drishti Media Group was started in 2010, keeping in view like how useful we can be for the community. That was the whole idea to launch Drishti Media Group, because I was quite impressed by the media, like what contribution they are making, how better things they can do for the community. Because there are negative as well as positive things in all the medias. But I think we should pick up all the positive. The strong point I picked up when I started Drishti Media to promote positivity in the community, not any negativity. Because if you promote positive things, I think positive outcome is there. So that was the purpose of starting the Drishti Media Group. And we started with the magazine. So I thought of the name, like what name we should keep for our publication or the company. And I was reading one day Bhagavad Gita. That's my routine. And I was just, reading the pages, and the Divya Drishti name came in front of me. And I thought, oh, wow, Drishti, it goes with the publication, because Drishti means vision. And you have the, if vision is there, the strong vision is there in the publication, you can make a difference. So I thought of keeping that name of the publication, Drishti Magazine, and the company name is Drishti Media Group.
I love it. Now, in the media group, there's different things. I think the magazine, there's also some other things, awards banquet or awards annual. Can you talk about those things?
Yeah, we started, after 5 years of Drishti Media Group, we thought of, starting, adding something, how more we can involve in the community, or we can engage with the community. So we thought of Drishti Awards, because there are so many great people, leaders, and they are doing great things in the community. And we thought we must recognize those people, and we should create a platform to bring the community there to recognize the great leaders, and every year. So we started in 2015 that platform, and that was a great success. And not only that, we thought let's now give back to the community through this platform. And just not the recognition of the people or the organizations. We should also, give back to the community. So we started with the BC Children's Hospital Foundation to raise funds for them at the awards gala. And we started with the BC Children's Hospital. Then we gave, funds to the Langley Memorial Hospital Foundation and the Cancer Foundation. So like that, we choose every year one institution to raise funds for them. And this year we thought of Royal Columbian Hospital to support the mental health programs. So my passion is education and health. Yes. And because if both are going hand in hand, we can create a better, healthy civil society. So if education is the pillar of any community, of any country or any nation. Yeah. So we are promoting education aggressively. More and more people should be educated from the community. And we are engaging communities, and we are going to other communities and encouraging them to nominate for our Drishti Awards, so that we can make a difference in all the communities, not only in the South Asian community.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on all of that. I want to make a few comments about this. The narrative behind my show, Nawal, and for the listeners, the first time is called The Hero's Journey. And you can actually find the book by Joseph Campbell, who left us a research library. He passed away, and he studied mythology and religion, and he found we're all connected by a common thread in a story. The story is where we are in the what's called the known world that we know, and something happens in our life, and we hear this call to adventure. And many people don't answer it through a lifetime, but some people do. And then they go into the unknown world on a journey of discovery, more to discover who they really are, the truth about themselves. And they come back into the known world, usually as a shaman or a guide or somebody who teaches. So I want to honor you, tell you, because it's how my brain works. It's three-dimensional. How just talking to you today, we've never met before today, how I've discovered your hero's journey. I'm going to play it back to you. Now, your father was a man who was an artist, a flutist, I think they call that.
Yeah.
And so he played wonderful music, I'm sure. Your story is like a fine song. You were born in India, in a country, you had a family rich in values. You didn't have a lot of money, like most people come from humble beginnings. And so you went into the world and you were taught by your parents and your father, particularly, certain values. And he loved you, and he wanted you to be a doctor. You were defined by him wanting you to be high success. That's how a lot of Indians see their children, be doctors. But you knew there was more than that. And so you discovered that there was a bigger calling deep in your soul. And you came to Canada. And so you heard the call to adventure back when your dad challenged you to be a doctor. And you said, there's more to life than being a doctor. I need to go and make a difference. I honor you because part of your journey was you went into pharmaceuticals, believing that if you went there, you would be connected to doctors. But you still were searching. That wasn't enough. And I can tell you just from working with you on this interview that wasn't your purpose going into pharmaceuticals. It was a step on the hero's journey. You learned. Then you came to Canada and your dad said, wait a minute, I'm not sure if I really like that. And like most parents, it's a tough decision, but you had the courage to come to another country. And here you went out into the world. And unlike many in our community who struggle with the English language, who feel maybe they're not worthy. And I'm saying this from coaching many of them. I love them all. I love you. But this is what we feel because we think, because of what we're told, that we have to speak fluent English. We have to have an MBA or a degree or some type of credentials high to have people like us. This is not true. You knew in your heart that by following that musical song in your heart, that creativity, that you were going to find something else to prove to the world that you are enough, you can be more, and you can make a difference. You went and you failed in an interview, and you had a mentor who taught you to do something different. You tried, you came back, and you got into the successful roles in business in Canada. And then from there, you had the come back as a guide, believing that if you create something, the Drishti Media Group, something amazing where you can have a platform to teach, to talk about the values, yours and education, and particularly I wrote down here health, and I love the mental health part because that's a whole nother interview. Now here you are representing the anniversary of the Drishti Media Group, a platform that's changing the world. And you found somebody like me, and it was only because of your vision and Drishti that you attracted somebody like me to come. I've been always interested in a platform I can teach something that is different. And that's why I say I challenge conventional wisdom and beliefs. We're all the same. We're all connected. I, like you, didn't know who I really was till I discovered that. So because of that, I want to honor you with 4 words. I call these leadership words. I write them down as I'm interviewing you. That's why I'm turning my head here, Nawal.
That's a surprise to me.
It's my honor. The first one is integrity. I feel it in you, and you're a man of integrity. The second one is leadership. Nawal, you are a leader. There's no question. Leading to leave your country, leading to perhaps challenge your conventional beliefs, leading to create Drishti Group to make a difference. And now having somebody like me on, who's seen sometimes as maybe a little bit against old tradition, but believing in the next generation. Wonderful. You are community, sir. You've been involved in the community, and you will continue to make a difference. And the last one is I'm going to call you karma. Everybody, if you want to get to know somebody so that you can have the religion of karma, this is the man. Now, on the screensaver behind me, Nawal, you see a picture there, right? There's an image behind me. I want to talk about that for a moment before I give it back to you. Everybody, I'm inducting Nawal Tandon into the Quiet Warrior Tribe, a global community, today with this award. I only invite people on the show who will be authentic and tell their whole story. I had these coins. These are what are called challenge coins, and I had them hand painted and crafted. And on the front of it is the image of the show. You can actually see there's me, and there's 3 words on that coin: purpose, action, life. I heard you talk about 2 of them, purpose and life. Amazing. But all the things you're doing are action. You're teaching people how to live the life they deserve and desire. On the back of the coin is actually the crest, the hero's journey narrative, the actual narrative of the journey that one takes. This will be given to you in a cherry box. I hope to meet you and give it to you in person. And I want you to know, Nawal, that there's only less than 50 a year that are given out, and they're now carried by people in 7 countries. My vision or my drishti, like you, was to find quiet warriors who quietly defying conventional wisdom, finding their true purpose and changing the world with the work they're doing and never giving up to make it a better place. And so welcome to the Quiet Warrior Tribe.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom, for having me and honoring me with this great honor. I'm really humbled.
You're welcome. I can't wait to sit down with you and give that to you. Last words for you. I mean, let's talk about the next generation, the youth coming up in this country and from South Asian. What would you tell them? Because here's the thing: they're not going to be the world they're going to run is a world we're never going to see. So what is your advice?
I think, Tom, you have touched on a very, very, very good question, very good issue regarding the youth involvement in the community. And because our community sometimes, there are news like bad news spreading, like South Asian youths are doing this bad things. But what I would say, like South Asian youths are doing certain great things in the community, and we must highlight those things, and that's the reason we started a Young Bosses podcast. So we are bringing youth on our podcast, and our tagline is "Live life like you own it." So that's the biggest change in the youth, because we want to live them their life. We should lead them their whatever they think. Let's explore that. And we must encourage them to do those things. I think that they are making a huge difference in the community by doing great things. And what I will say, like to the youth, like do the things. First, you find yourself, who you are, like what are your potentials. Everybody has the dynamite in them, and they have to find it out and how to use that dynamite, not for destruction, but for construction. So what I would say, like, use that dynamite potential, your passion, to build the community, to make South Asian community a great community on this foreign land. Because we are in this beautiful country, Canada, and the beautiful land, beautiful province of British Columbia. And we have the potential, to do good things. And we are doing already in India, our leaders are doing great things. But we are here, and here also our community has made a name in many industries. But I would strongly say and recommend to youth, go for the education, whatever the highest level of education you can attain. You must go to the universities, good universities, to attain those education and make a better life and make a better Canada.
Wow. I'm glad we have that on tape because it's such great wisdom. Thank you for sharing that for the next generations. You made me think of something when you said that. I want to tell you that there was a study done of Canadians at age 90. And this is a study I use when I teach. And they said, what are your top 3 regrets? And the results that came in were in no particular order. We didn't take enough risk. We didn't reflect enough, and we didn't leave a big enough contribution. And so, in honor of what you said about the next generation, I'd like to build on that and say that we're in the land of Canada, where the community is beyond the boundaries of South Asian community, where we need to take a risk as immigrants and go outside of our comfort zone and into the other communities to learn the way of the land. And we want to do what Nawal is doing and find that magic that he talked about, that dynamite, and find some purpose to change the world. And so, Nawal, it's been an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to see the article online, my story. And again, I look forward to serving you and the community and helping you in any way with the things you're doing at Drishti Media Group.
Thank you, Tom. And I would recommend everyone, to read the story of Tom. He's an amazing person. And once you read his story, you will know yourself, like what is his journey and what difference he's making in the community, not only in Canada, in North America and other parts of the world. Thank you, Tom, for having me at your show. I'm really honored.
It's been my pleasure, and thank you, Nawal. So everybody, find this show when it comes out on the podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Give it a high rating, download it so we can honor Nawal's story and the great work that he's doing, and live life like you hear Nawal talk about, with passion, purpose, and live the life that you deserve and desire.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nawal.
Thank you for listening to The Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca